Hey everyone, it's Eddie or the Sock, whichever you prefer, and today I had a little change of plans. I was planning on playing some Paranorma site today. As soon as I got home from work, I got a notification. NomNomNami made a new game today, Escape from Wormwood, and so I think that's what I'm doing today. Now, I did briefly read through it. It is a horror visual novel, a little grittier than usual, set in the same universe as A Lonely Wolf Treat, which I haven't beaten yet, but can be played standalone. And guys, content warning: blood, gore, destructive cults, and cannibalism. So if you guys don't like that, don't watch. And if you guys do like that, maybe seek help. Well, I'm not the boss of you, so you do you, I guess. I don't know. And also to give you guys a heads up, my uploads might be a little bit inconsistent for a bit. I am working on a big project. Big for me at least, I'm not used to this. And it might take me a few weeks to make, but I will be posting teasers for it on Twitter and Blue Sky if you guys want to follow me there. When I have the teasers, that is. Anyway, enough advertising myself, let's start the game. When you come to, you're in a strange and unfamiliar dark room. Your stomach aches, and you feel nauseous. Thick ropes bind your chest tightly, but they aren't the source of your pain. You remember now. Several days ago, you left on a research expedition into the rainforest with two of your colleagues. Forced you a little foraging on the way back. The three of you ingested some berries that you're sure now were poisonous. Your colleagues sit beside you, unmoving. The air smells like metal. Check. You squint hard, willing your eyes to adjust to the lack of light. You'd almost guess that it must be late in the day, maybe even night, if not for the stream of light tracing a single door frame. A small window sits in the upper center of this door, papered over with grime and dust. The bars over it remind you of a prison cell. The room itself is rather sparse. A large wooden table stands in the far corner, against the wall near the door. Besides the table is a pile of things. You can't tell exactly what this pile consists of, but it might be your belongings. The floor beneath you is damp, with dark puddles that your mind refuses to register as blood. These puddles ebb towards a grated drain. If you were to vomit, which you feel very inclined to do, you guess it would be drained as well. Think about how you got here. Help stave off your panic. You try to think of everything you know for certain. You're an anthropologist. These long words confuse me so. You came to a foreign land to study ancient civilizations, learn more about the various cultures in the region. Accompanying you on your journey is a fellow researcher whose work you admired for years, and a cultural expert who was supposed to act as your translator and guide. Unfortunately, this expert has faked his credentials, leading you to believe he was far more knowledgeable than he actually was. Soon enough, it became obvious that he had gotten the two of you completely lost. Then, there was a physical altercation that resulted in losing the bulk of your supplies. I feel like we're glossing over a lot of the story already. Three of you, now fighting for survival, decide to risk ingesting what seemed to be like perfectly safe berries. You succumbed to their poison, lost consciousness, woke up here, tried to wake the others. Pete! Yeah, I think is how you pronounce that. You whisper urgently to the witch beside you, but she doesn't respond. Squirming against your restraints, you attempt to lean your head on her chest and listen for a heartbeat. After a few moments, you're sure you can hear one, faintly, despite the distracting pounding in your own chest. The current state of the rat beside her is something you won't be able to confirm for yourself. The door suddenly opens, starting you back into an upright position. Shut your eyes tightly to shield them from the harsh daylight. A masked being has entered the room. They approach. Your eyes remain locked on your eyes remain locked on them the entire time. They move past you and over to the rats. Your stature is that of a child's, but that's typical of a mouse, you think. When they pull out a knife, you pray that it isn't a child at all. When they lift the rat's arm and glide their blade down it, you pray that it's a sadistic adult acting alone. Because if they're a lone murderer in the jungle, that gives you the greatest chance of escape. If it's a child acting within a group, not only do you have no chance, but it's also horrific and heartbreaking and bleak. As the blood drains from the rat who doesn't deserve this, you swallow, dizzy, and try your best to remain calm. Say something, you fool! Beg for your life, ask who they are. I think ask who they are? Who are you? Why are you doing this? You're able to say it firmly, but the mouse ignores you. Let me go, please. I'm just a researcher. I won't report this. Never return here. Please, I'll do anything. Of course they can't understand you. That's what the translator is for. But he's not waking up now. The mouse pulls a cloth from their pocket to wipe the knife. Once it's clean, they look to you for a moment. You think desperately how you can convey to them that you mean them no harm, and that you only want to go home. But instead, the nausea you've been staving off comes to a head, thanks to an inescapable smell of your colleague's blood. You lean forward and vomit helplessly onto the floor. It flows towards the drain as well. The ground must be slightly slanted here. The three of you are placed in this room in such a way that your blood, vomit, or any other bodily excretions go right down the drain. They planned for you to bleed for them. They brought you here for the purpose of being drained. And now you only feel more sick. The mouse kneels down in front of you. Their rubber rain boots squeak lightly as they move. When you look up at their face, their mask, they bring the soiled cloth to the side of your mouth, dabbling the mess away. You must believe it was a small kindness, if not for the faint taste of blood on your lips. The mouse seems to study your face for a moment, but you can only stare back in stunned silence. But use your words if this mouse can't seem to understand you anyway. They stand and open the door to leave. You hang your head as the despair that your situation hits you in a wave. You sit there, sobbing in the darkness, as you listen to the slow drip of the drain in front of you. Day 2. The witch beside you still hasn't woken up. She is much older than you, with a weaker constitution. As a witch, you expect she would be a little sturdier, but apparently not. Being able to use magic doesn't guarantee protection from poison. Her specialty lies in photography, not medicine. She isn't wounded though, at least not in any obvious way. It isn't her blood that stains the floor where you sit. The only one the mouse seems to have cut into so far is the rat, Moss. You want the rat? You spend most of the previous night reflecting on everything that happened. At first, it was easy to pin everything on Moss. If you hired anyone else, he might not be here right now. There's no question about it. But this job paid well. Compared to the other work being offered in the area, he must have been highly incentivized to lie in order to take it. It's unfortunate that his decision endangered the lives of all three of you. But maybe he really thought of himself as capable enough. At the very least, it wasn't the kind of mistake you believe he should die for. Though Pete certainly disagrees. You tried to keep her from killing him, only for the three of you to end up here. And now he's... You can't think about Moss any longer. But the witch. Pete is employed by the very same institution as you are. He's well known within her field, undeniably skilled, with decades of experience. You were honestly excited to get to work with her. until you realize she was surprisingly old-fashioned, viewing the culture she studies as uncivilized and beneath her. I wonder what race we are. She exploded at Moss once his incompetence was made clear. He tried to get between them. Your supplies are lost in the scuffle. She had kept calm. They would have worked together to find a way back into the path marked on your map. You want to blame her, but you were angry at the rat's deception too. Morale was completely shot by the time you gave in and tried those berries. If everything you could have eaten, the berries were. None of you asked to end up in this situation. Think of a way out. You need to think of a way out. It's probably too late for Moss, but if you could just untie yourself and Pete. The rope refuses to loosen themselves, no matter which direction you bend your torso. Without something sharp to cut through the fibers, you'd be stuck like this. You lean your full weight onto Pete again, as you continue to do throughout the night. Pete, please, wake up. You hate having the faces alone. Even if this witch were to only offer unpleasant remarks, at this point you accept them with full gratitude. The door opens again, for the first time since yesterday. The sudden sound of heavy rain causes you to jolt, but you remain frozen, leaning against Pete's shoulder. The mouse is here again. Is it the same one as before? Judging by their stature, you imagine it must be. They walk past you and over the moss. They pull out the knife again. You can't bring yourself to watch this time. You only wish you could cover your ears. Though that way, you wouldn't have to hear the sounds of flesh and muscle parting, his blood pouring out from his severed veins and splattering loudly onto the floor. Why are you doing this? Please. You cry, because you can't think of anything else to do. You can't just sit and wait for your turn to be flayed. You can't move. Mouse won't listen to you. So you sit there, whimpering, until you hear a loud thud. You finally open your eyes to see Moss's corpse, the misshapen lump on the floor. Even in this low light, you can tell once was human skin has become coarse fur. A quirk of animal folk, they have returned to their bestial form upon death. I've forgotten that. You realize he must have been alive and unconscious until now. You remain calm. Your mind is racing, but you shut every single one of those thoughts out in order to survive. Moss is dead, but your position is unchanged. You have to escape. The mouse begins dragging the larger rat's body across the room, inch by inch. You're breathing hard. As you watch this tiny mouse struggle to move this heavy corpse, you almost feel bad for them. That's when you finally think of something you can do. Hey, untie me. The mouse stays focused on their task. He's heavy, right? Untie me and I can help you move the body. You almost can't believe what you're saying. Your shaky breath steadies the more you talk. It's so sad, watching you try to move him alone. Please, can I help you? The mouse stops to look at you. Your masked face sends a chill down your spine. You worry that being able to read their expression will feel even worse. You have their attention. You have to commit to this now. Where are you moving him? I can help you. I promise I'll help. But I can only do that if you untie me. And you can tie me up again afterwards, of course. I'll cooperate, please. I just want to help. The mouse steps over the rat's body and kneels in front of you, the same as they did when you vomited yesterday. I'm not supposed to talk to you. Your eyes light up. She can understand you after all. Her voice sounds young and feminine. This is a child being forced to do horrible things by some monster. You can talk her into releasing you. You have to. It's your only path forward. I won't talk. I'll just lift. It's just so sad watching you. I can't bear it. She draws her knife. For a moment, You think she's about to silence you for good. Instead, she cuts through a piece of rope. Well, I'd like to move this to the table. You do as the mouse commands. Day 3. Pete woke up last night. You filled her in on everything that happened. Moss's death, your masked captor. You left out the part where you convinced the mouse to untie you. You pretend she didn't say a word to you. You hadn't said anything more to her either, and even let her tie you up again in the end, as promised. Pete would only scorn you for not putting up more of a fight if she knew. Although, she's still rather delirious and weak. She ate the largest share of the berries, now do you think of it? You don't know how much she'll fight back, or if she'll be able to help you at all. Think about what happened to Moss. You can't get the images of what the mouse did yesterday out of your head. They're hoisting Moss's corpse onto the table. She thanked you for tying you up again. And then, she went to work, dismembering the corpse. Completely terrified, you tried to keep your eyes to the floor, but that didn't save you from the slapping sounds of meat chunks being stacked high into a pile. A rat was butchered meters away from you, from where you sat. She cut into his flesh for hours on end, and you sat there and watched. You watched, and you wondered who taught this child her technique. You wondered how many bodies she had done this to, how many people she calmly sliced into unrecognizable chunks before now. What end was Moss flayed? Which one of you was next on the chopping block? You watched, thinking hard about these things, until the mouse finished her work and carried these pails full of meat out of the room. You wish you could do something to put a stop to all of this. Talk to Pete. Pete, are you still awake? Yes. The level of annoyance in her voice is far higher than usual. You imagine she's in a lot of pain. We should try to come up with a solid escape plan, don't you think? That's what I've been thinking of ever since I've waken up. Do not interrupt me again if you want to live. It doesn't sound like she's willing to coordinate with you. That's fine. Exactly why you set up your own plan of motion. You can't depend on each other. But escaping together, if at all possible, would be ideal. You don't like her, but leaving this witch behind would haunt you for the rest of your life. You're sure Moss's staff will too. Think of what to do next. Your ropes aren't as tight as they were before. You tried squirming around again, but you haven't gotten them to bulge. Still, they're a little less uncomfortable. Your muscles are stiff from being stuck in one position on the floor. You wonder if the mouse would be willing to leave you untied in this room. Door's locked anyway. You need to earn more of her trust, at the very least. You'd rather Pete be the one be drained next. The door opens. Mouse enters the room. Let us go. We can pay. You understand? Pete squeaks quickly in a demanding tone, but the mouse ignores her, as expected. What is it you want? Food? Wealth? I'll be made into a ritual sacrifice. We can make this worth your weight. We can make this worth your while. The mouse kneels down before the witch and holds the knife to her skin. Pete flails in a panic, knocking the knife from her hands. It slides across the floor towards a drain. It doesn't fall in. Oops. The mouse calmly collects her knife. You're silent, thinking desperately of a way to lay her further. Loam told me all about how you butchered that rat. Oh, my name's Loam, okay. You collected his meat, for what? Are you cannibals? Or do you toss the remains to a pit to appease your god, you fucking savages? She follows her to where Moss once sat, flailing dangerously again as the mouse takes slow steps toward her. An idea comes to mind. Offer to help. You swallow hard before asking. Would you like some help again? Pete starts flailing all at once. You can feel both of them staring at you. Your eyes are fixed on your captor's mask. The mouse nods. Okay. Day 4. Pete refuses to speak to you. He tried to explain that you only held her down like that as part of your ploy to earn the mouse's trust. You got results. You convinced her that she didn't need to trouble herself with tying ropes around your whole body. But today, it's just your hands that are tied. You've been able to pace around about the room. It feels much better than sitting on the hard floor. Your odds of survival are slowly increasing. You don't worry about Pete's blood spilling down the drain. She's weakened, but still alive. The cut was far from fatal. Talk to Pete. You didn't need to call them savages, you know. Pete gives you a silent glare. It's offensive. They were city mice. You call them murderers, right? So just say murderers. Loam. You are, for once, relieved to hear her voice. Yes? I do not need your lecture on political correctness when I am bleeding out because of you. You purse your lips. Sorry. Search the room. Though you can't do much with your hands tied behind your back, you were able to confirm a few things about this room. 1. There is no way out. Door is locked. A small window in the upper center of it is barred, and there doesn't seem to be any other exit. 2. The pile of things next to the table does indeed contain your belongings. You thought as much on the first day you woke up here, but you're happy to learn that they weren't thrown out or being stored somewhere you wouldn't be able to recover them. You weren't able to open your bag on your own. You're too afraid to move anything too far out of its place anyway. If only your hands were untied, you'd dig through your belongings to find something sharp enough to use as, well, a means of escape. Either to untie Pete or as a weapon. Hopefully you won't have to use on a living person. Think of what to do next. You rack your brain, trying to figure out your next move, but it's hard to think on an empty stomach. You've been running on adrenaline these past few days, and your nerves are completely shot. You were, at the very least, given some water yesterday, both you and Pete. They seem to want to keep you alive for a little longer, but you aren't exactly sure why or for how long. Maybe you'll be able to get some answers today. You decide to make that your goal. The little mouse returns. You move back to your place next to Pete in a show of cooperation. When she kneels down and draws her knife, Pete interjects with a level of composure you're shocked to hear from someone. Crumpled, bound, and bleeding on the floor. Mouse, you should be cutting him instead. You almost can't believe your ears. How does she expect to have any chance of escaping if you're both weak from blood loss? Why me? The mouse pauses to hear her out. You want to cry. He's trying to trick you. He's getting your trust a little at a time before taking a knife from you and not. You're almost relieved when your little mouse brings the blade down and pierces her flesh. You feel awful about it, but it spares you another day. Can I ask you a question? The mouse cleans the blade against a cloth as she always does. We're not supposed to talk. I just want to know your name. Hearing her call you Mouse, I feel sad that I didn't know your name. Holds her head at you as Pete continuously mutters swears under her breath. Should introduce myself first, shouldn't I? My name's Loam. Loam. I'm sorry. I don't have a name I can share. He stands to leave. Is there something I can call you? Something other than Mouse? Pete moans in agony. You don't let her distract you. You need to keep building trust, or else you'll both be killed. The mouse stares at you for a long while, before turning away. I don't know. She opens the door, letting in the roar of heavy rainfall. I'll think of something for you. You yell after her as the door closes. You hope she thinks about it too. Day 5. Freddy Fazbear. He isn't speaking to you again. But this time, it's because she hasn't seemed to regain consciousness. Her body's alarmingly cold. But you think she still has a pulse. She isn't dead just yet. But you don't think you'll be able to escape with her anymore. You weren't counting on it to begin with, but it would have been nice not to be alone. You sigh. Your stomach is tearing itself apart with hunger. I wonder if the story would change if I didn't do Think Calmly and instead, like, panic. I wonder. Talk to Pete. You know, you dressed in conscious witch, well aware that she won't respond. I think you're more guilty for where we ended up. I've only been making the best of a bad situation. You understand that, right? I'm not some monster who wished for you to die. Her silence pains you, as you try to put her out of your mind. Stretch your legs. You begin pacing around the room. You can't let your muscles atrophy before you can make a run for it. My cat is walking towards the mic. I'm trying to get her away. There isn't much space to walk around, though. The more you move, the hungrier you feel. You look down at Pete. Her eyes are still closed. She almost looks peaceful. Think about names. A name for the faceless mouse. No, she isn't faceless, only masked. The group she's working for, the one that tells her not to talk to you, the one keeping her nameless and anonymized. That group is keeping her personhood from her. By giving her a name, you can work together removing that mask. The door opens again. Each time it does, you brace yourself for a new mouse, stranger, to walk through the door. You brace yourself for your strategy to be completely overturned, for your progress to be reset, and to feel overcome with despair as a stranger drives their blade deep into your flesh. Be cut into pieces, bones discarded, and carried out in metal pails just like moss. But you can tell again it's her again today. The mouse who will help you escape from this place. Her hood and boots are drenched with rain. She doesn't bother to shake any of it off. Instead, she looks right at you and makes a small sound. She's smiling under that mask. It's how you want to be greeted. So it's what you imagine that sound must have meant. You smile back. Forgive me for asking, but I've still been thinking of what to call you. Or forgive me for speaking. I don't know what kind of things you like, so, I mean, if I give you a name, I think it should be something you like, so what do you? I do have a name. You pause, blinking twice. Ah! Yesterday you said you didn't, so that's sorry. Seem to have jumped to conclusions. The mouse kneels down in front of Pete and draws her knife. I can't share it. We're all given secret names by the highest power. She makes her incision. You don't watch the blood leak from Pete's arm. You only look at the mask. We're not supposed to share our secret names. But I think it's okay if I tell you what my name means. And then you can call me something based on that. Does that work? She's making concessions to you. You're compromising. It's something small and trivial, but she's willing to negotiate with you, which means you still have a chance of negotiating your freedom. No, you don't, buddy. What does your secret name mean? Water from the heavens, where the highest power lives. What of my name? So, if you call me something like that, I'll be happy. She wipes her knife. Pete is still. Think of a name. Trying to think feels like wading through a deep pit of mud. You finally land on something. Is it gonna be rain? Little raindrop. The mouse doesn't react, so you rush to explain. It's not a name, but a term of endearment. Like sweetheart or pumpkin. Pumpkin? My grandmother used to call me that back when I was still a little tyke. You don't think about the ways Pete reminds you of your late grandmother. How old are you, little raindrop? She thinks for a moment. 16. Too young. She's far too young to be taking lives like this. Though you realize it's likely because she's so young that this group has been able to mold her into a killer. The mouse turns your attention back to the witch, lying still on the floor beside you. It's hard to tell when a witch's heart stopped beating. Can you help me again? You swallow hard and turn your head to finally face what's become of Pete. Sure. Day 6. You sit on the blood-soaked floor, of ropes tied loosely around your body, though not so loose you could shuffle your way out of them. The other mice apparently scolded the little raindrop for leaving you unbound. It wasn't proper. She told you the highest power would be displeased, and that she had no choice but to tie you up like before. Your eyelids are heavy. You feel hollow. Somehow, you've ended up making negative progress. Though today, you're all alone. Think of what happened yesterday. They're confirming Pete's death. After you laid your head on her chest, remembering the first time you heard her faint heartbeat, despite the pounding of your own. You listened for that sound as hard as you could, but it wasn't there. You felt like your heart might stop too. Instead, it continued beating, this pulsing inside your ribcage that you usually never paid any mind to. You curse it for its diligence. Pete's body was dissected the same as Moss's, but you didn't only watch this time. The raindrop chatted to you as she went about her business. The conversation took your mind off the things she asked you to do. Her commands you obeyed without much hesitation. You're out of your mind. But everything you've been doing, all of your efforts, everything you've done is in order for you to escape and survive this ordeal. You have to survive this. Try to free yourself. You squirm lazily in place on the floor. The ropes don't give an inch. You want to cry, but you're already dehydrated. You want to go home. Can't leave this room. You want to die, but only if it'll be painless. You don't want to bleed like Moss and Pete did. You don't want to be reduced to chunks of meat and forgotten. It's late when the mouse arrives. So late that you almost believed she wouldn't come today. Your raindrop. Hello. The candlelight reflects off her mask. A terrifying figure. You smile weakly. I'm here because I was able to sneak away with some leftovers. Food? She brought you food. She's still on your side. You little raindrop from the heavens. She came here because she didn't want you to starve. Is it really okay to be giving me your food? I hope you are eating your fill. She kneels down in front of you, setting a bowl of stew. We're having 3 feasts in a row. Uh-oh. So I don't mind sharing some. Thank you, little raindrop. Another sound comes from behind the mask. If she's smiling at you again, you want to believe that. I can't untie you, so I'll feed you myself. He holds up a spoonful of the dark stew. Your eyes linger on the chunks of meat. It's Pete. Pete is in there. Eat. You're just... You're doing what you have to in order to survive. It'll be all meaningless if you're to die here like this. That's why you have to do whatever it takes. Day 11. It's been 5 days in the last one, I think. For 5 days, your little raindrop came to visit and make small, horizontal incisions across your wrists. They bled as you chatted with her. You continue to chat in order to take your mind off the pain. You think you're probably going to hell. There are all sorts of conceptions of hell in the cultures you've studied. Be they cold, fiery, a transcendent purgatory, or a realm of eternal punishment. You weren't sure you believed in hell before now. Being faced with your imminent death, you don't believe there must be some kind of afterlife. You can't imagine whatever's next will be peaceful paradise for your family. Your ancestors happily waiting there for you. Surely some kind of retribution is coming for a coward like yourself. What's being done to you now, it isn't enough. The blood colligates. I know I said that word wrong. It wound and scabs over. A fresh incision is made. Coagulates. No, that also feels wrong. Maybe the only part of you that will ever escape this place is what's already flown down that drain. But each time the door opens, a little seed of hope is planted. She's here again. She smiles to greet you. Ask about your journal, or talk about your journal. The little raindrop asks you to tell her another story from your journal. You carry it with you on all of your adventures, a record full of notes on ancient civilizations, things you've learned from various tribes in the region, and little things about their ways of life that have fascinated you. Oh, it's this word again. Anthropology is a broad subject. I feel like I said it right that time. There are so many exciting things to learn. You've shared some of these things with this mouse, who seems to match your excitement and interest in the wider world. She's never left this village, so it's no surprise she would feel that way. When you finish your story, she seems no closer to releasing you. You can feel your story sway her heart, but still, she does not bulge. Talk about your field of study. You explain to Little Raindrop that you traveled here on a research expedition. When she asks you about the purpose of your research, you realize Pete's photography will communicate it most clearly. So you had her dig into the witch's backpack to uncover her photo book. Pete was such an unpleasant person to be around, but her talents were unmatched. Seeing her photography again brings you to tears. You have to stop looking. The ropes around your body might be the only thing holding you together. Has to be released. You've tried to lead the conversation towards your escape many times. You even offered to take the little raindrop with you to show her the world. But there's only so hard you can push. The other mice tell her the outside world is full of dangers. You try to show her that it is instead full of wonders. Ironically, it is your wanderlust that's landed you in danger. But that doesn't have to be true for this mouse. She doesn't have the courage to flee. And you fear you no longer have the strength. So you admit defeat. I'm talking for today. Another day goes by, bleeding and talking late into the night. The little raindrop yawns, then carefully picks up her candle. I better go to bed. You don't want her to leave. You don't want to be left alone another night in this dark, horrible, blood-stained room. Good night, Loam. See you tomorrow. You offer a weak good night and close your eyes. You don't know how much longer you'll last. Day 13. You're feeling more lucid today. The hopelessness has left you. You think it's probably your body's last hurrah. Your grandmother was like this too, the day before she passed. You wonder if dying bodies can feel their expiration date coming on. You thought you'd be scared, but really, you spent these past 2 weeks in total fear. You're overdue for a sense of peace. Okay, I'm ready. Raises a knife to your arm and waits for your approval. She'll be forced to reopen an older wound of how many cuts she had been left there. Why does it fall on you to signal the go-ahead? It makes this whole thing feel like a slow suicide. Enough to make you laugh. The corners of your mouth only curl slightly as a thought, before relaxing back into place. In the end, you give her a nod, and she cuts, and you bleed. You're so cold, you don't have the energy to shiver. You wish she brought a blanket. You can't ask for that now. You don't want to open your eyes again. You thought for a moment you didn't want to, but... Little raindrop. Did you take off your mask? She hesitates. My mask? Why? I've never seen your face. I'd like to see it once, before it's too late. Okay. You. You stare at her for a moment. In this light, you're almost unsure. There really is a person under there. It's a monster. You worried you might only be fooling yourself, believing she was a victim like you. She's still a child whose view of the world has been warped in such a way that brings harm to others. You can't see the damage she's done. You hadn't had a chance to comprehend it before being put into this situation. Such beautiful round eyes. Oh, your eyes are nice too. You're able to muster a real laugh this time. You have to say more than that. Listen, little raindrop. Once you prepare my body for the feasts, we won't be able to talk anymore. It's okay. The feast is what's important. The great honor to be offered up by the highest power. You were chosen. There wasn't enough time. You couldn't get through to her. You were never going to be... There was never going to be a way to untangle these immoral beliefs of hers overnight. If you leave it like this, she may never break free from them. You use all that's left of your strength to lean forward, letting your head fall on her lap. Please, learn everything you can about the world, little raindrop. This highest power of yours isn't the only power that exists. It isn't the only way. She doesn't say anything. You continue. I'm sorry. I've only ever said things that must sound like sacrilege to you. But I hope you can understand it one day. To understand it and escape from this place. That is my wish for you. You close your eyes again. You pray to every power you can think of. Please let this mouse escape. Part 1. End. After the feast that day... Okay, now we're in this perspective, little raindrop. After the feast that day, I thought the highest power wouldn't be passing down any more blessings for a while. 3 at once had been a lot of work. Only ever managed 2 at a time before. I thought maybe the highest power was pleased with how well it went, and that's why it sent us a 4th. I hope this new offering was as nice as you were. If so, I'd go with the slow draining method again. I knew I wasn't supposed to talk to them. I'm trying to figure out what kind of animal this is. Meals are to be eaten, not spoken with. That's the rule. Okay, it was a monkey. But the monkey was wide awake when I came to start the draining ritual. And I wanted to see if she was a nice person like you were, Loom. I had a lot of fun talking to you. So I wondered if any other outsiders would share their stories with me like you did. She said she was a member of a search party that was sent out to look for a group of researchers who disappeared in the rainforest a month ago. A witch called Pete, a local rat who was hired as her guide, the leader of an expedition, an anthropologist. Oh, I hope I said that right. Loam! I was happy to hear someone else say your name. I was happy to be able to talk to someone who knew about you. I couldn't explain all the stuff to any of my brothers while getting in trouble. But when I told the monkey that you and the others are already offered up by the highest power for the feasts, that she didn't need to look for you anymore, she got really upset. Outsiders always had trouble accepting the highest power's will. They can't comprehend the honor of being bestowed on them. She struggled a lot, and I wasn't able to use a knife because of that. I'm the only one assigned to the dining preparation house right now. It's up to me to carry out the ritual. I had to come back later at night, when she had calmed down. Things proceeded normally after that. I didn't try talking to her again. Think about Loom. Okay, so I was a human. I wish you stopped cutting me. Your words made me hesitate back then. You're always doing me favors, so for a moment, I wanted to do as you asked. I shook my head. You have to do it. Who's telling you that you have to do this, little raindrop? Well, it's in preparation for the feasts. I had to follow the steps. Even if what you're doing is wrong? You keep saying things like this, and I didn't like how it made me feel, so I rejected it. It isn't wrong. I'm doing it properly. I wiped the knife clean. When I looked back at you, you had such a sad expression. Killing people, cutting them up like this, is always wrong. There's no justification that could ever make it right. Do you know why? I knew I couldn't trust anything outsiders had to say. I was curious to hear your reason, so I asked, why? This life is precious. Each one of us is given only one life. When it ends, that person is gone forever. The loss you can never get back, not even with magic. That's why you mustn't do things that end others' lives. It's wrong. It takes something away from this world that can never be returned. I tilted my head in thoughts. But you helped me before. Unless that doesn't count? After that, you went quiet, didn't look at me anymore. I wonder why. Once the draining ritual was finished, it was time to get the monkey's body ready for the feast. I had trouble moving it like usual, and I wanted to ask for help, but dinner preparation is my responsibility. My brothers aren't allowed to enter the house. Try to move the bodies even though they're heavy, because it's easier to work at the table. I've been doing this since I was 13, so I have a system. Usually I'll move them a piece at a time, but it's messy to do the cutting on the floor. I end up doing bigger pieces. When you offered to help, I thought I was lucky because it would save me a lot of time and energy. It let me focus on the next step, and I even felt refreshed by the end of it. Mercy from the highest power, who knew I had 3 feasts to help prepare. But you're not here anymore. I wouldn't have any help when I had to move you. And when I realized that, I felt a little sad. Every offering from then on, I had to go back to moving them all on my own. Thinking of it as another trial from the highest power sort of helped to ease my mind, though. After finishing my work, I stood outside in the rain and gazed up at the sky. No one would call me Little Raindrop anymore. I kept thinking things like that. I remembered when you told me how each life was precious. But there wasn't any way around it. You were an offering sent by the highest power. I couldn't have let you go. During the next feast, I felt kind of sick, so I couldn't eat very much. I prayed to the highest power, hoping it will send me some kind of sign and clear away my doubts. I don't think it heard my prayer. My brothers encouraged me to keep praying and told me that I'll feel better soon. So that's what I did. Stop praying. The next time an offering was sent, I couldn't bring myself to drive the knife into their body. I've been reading your journal a lot and thinking about everything you wrote in there. We weren't supposed to read books the highest power doesn't approve of. I figured a handwritten journal doesn't really count as a book, so it was okay. But the more I read, I just felt so sad that I couldn't ask you to explain things to me, because you were gone. I felt sad that I was already starting to forget the things you did explain, the stories you told that weren't written in the journal. Since I felt stuck and couldn't do my work like usual, I ended up untying the ropes. I unlocked the door for them. They ran outside right away. The others caught them, of course, and they were brought back and tied up again. You really dropped the ball this time. The highest power wouldn't have been so unhappy of us if we'd lost the offering. Or would have been so, yeah. I nodded, feeling ashamed. Well, no harm done. The feast must go on. They patted me on the back of words of encouragement, but I knew I would have to return to my work after that. I knew I was going to have to take another life. I'm not feeling well today. Do you think someone else could do this in my place? Huh. You've been saying that a lot lately. But we're all busy with our own tasks. What are all you guys up to? I'm the one that prepares the food. I'm the one that cuts the food. I guess you guys hunt or something. If you really aren't feeling well today, then don't push yourself. Come back to it tomorrow. I'm sure you will be blessed with a speedy recovery in order to get the job done in time for the feast, brother. We're all counting on you. Okay, I'll rest for today. I felt guilty for slacking off when everyone else was working so hard. I've always been pretty diligent, because the highest power smiles upon diligent mice the most. I wanted to be smiled on. I started to think about the reason I was feeling bad was because I kept bending the rules, but was what I was doing so wrong? I knew I shouldn't have let an offering go. It was like I was rejecting the highest power's divine will. But when I thought about going through the whole preparation process again, I wanted to run away from it all. All that feeling. You'd mentioned I've been reading your journal a lot, but actually, I've been writing in it too. There's a lot of blank pages left over. I hope you don't mind me using them. You didn't get a chance to write anything about my village, so I thought I'd write about what life is like here instead. Each of us has a job to do. Farm work, cooking, laundry. The highest power assigns us a secret task. The village will prosper as long as those tasks are fulfilled. We wear the same clothes, eat the same things, share the same beds, and put on the same mask. When I say share the same beds, is it like one huge bed and every mouse sleeps on the same thing? Forget that question. Our masks are a symbol of the highest power. We wear them to reflect its image, so that it knows that we are its servants. Questioning the highest power is dangerous. It means we could lose its protection. I want our village to be protected, and I wasn't able to question it before. But your writing, your stories, you help me look at things in a new way. If outsiders don't have the protection of the highest power, then how do you have all those thriving cities you told me that really exists? Is it possible to live a good life while abandoning our secret task? I was too afraid to find out. So I picked up the knife and did what I was supposed to do. I don't think I ever told you about this, but someone else was assigned this task before me, an older brother. He was killed, and the offering escaped. I was the one the highest power chose to replace him. It was hard work, but I was happy to have a purpose. I was happy to be chosen back then. But now, I think you were right, that life is precious. You're gone, and you will never come back. And it wasn't just you. How much has been lost in this world from every feast? I started to feel worse and worse about taking part in it. I stopped eating the meat, but I couldn't get out of fulfilling my task. Unless I were to go somewhere outside the highest power's reach. One night, I cut a hole in the chain link fence and stepped outside the village for the first time. I looked up past the thick canopy, the vast starry sky. It felt so small. I thought about the scary stories I've been told. What happens to mice in the outside world? If I continued beyond this fence, I'd be entering the realm of the dangerous predators who would eat a mouse without a second thought. Maybe that's why my village became what it is. A place where instead mice are the ones that feast on others. All while under protection of the highest power. I stood under the stars for a long time to see if I'd be able to endure it all. And then I retreated back to the safety of my village. Think about Loam. Why won't you listen to me? It was the first and only time you ever raised your voice at me. Sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'm not feeling well, so I shouldn't take it on you. It wasn't your fault. I just really want to go home. You have to stay for the feasts. You bury your face in your knees. You let out a muffled scream. A scream becomes sobs and whimpers. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's so hard not to break down. I was surprised with the way your voice cracked as you spoke. You're making a lot of noise I didn't expect from you. Not knowing what else to do, I tried reaching out and patting your shoulder. There. My words worked like a charm. You stopped whimpering. Except, I understand it now. It wasn't acceptance. It was resignation. You felt resigned to your fate. It was painful having to die, but you knew you couldn't avoid it. So you endured the pain as best you could, at the very end. And that's what I'm doing now, so... Understand, Loam. 2 years, okay. 2 years later. So we're 18 now. I thought about leaving for so long. What always stopped me was, I still felt like I didn't know anything about the outside world. I rarely ran away. Where would I sleep? What would I eat? Would anyone protect me? I collected all the information I could. Talked to so many outsiders over the past 2 years. And when I could get away with it, bring them to the hole I made in the fence and push them through. I turned away more and more of these so-called offerings from the highest power, but I was never punished for it. I don't think the highest power really cares anymore, if it ever did to begin with. Something new that occurred to me was leaving meant I wouldn't be able to help anyone else escape. Both the outsiders would get drawn in for the feasts, and my brothers, my secret task would be reassigned to the next available mouse. Quick question, so did the other mice not know about all the outsiders being let out? Or you put like tofu in those, meals? Making impossible burgers. But I realized if I kept worrying about that, I'd be trapped here. Continue to take the lives of others until the day I died. You didn't want that for me, did you, Loam? This way, quickly. The last person I helped escape was a wolf. This treat? I never met a wolf before. Your smile filled with kindness reminded me of yours. It's not often that people give someone like me a warm welcome. It was nice while it lasted. I couldn't tell if they understood what the feast was. They seemed pretty naive, but here they were, traveling the world despite that. You've been to many places, haven't you? I've always thought about going far away, but I've been too scared. Although, if someone like you managed to survive, I could probably... Someone like me might get picked on. Sorry. Thanks. Because of you, I feel like I could go far too. I gathered my courage while I waited for nightfall. The small bag of supplies and your journal in hand. Faced the same exit that I pushed so many outsiders through. I still felt uncertain, but it was time. Escape. I slipped past the fence as quietly as I could, and made my way into the rainforest. I used a map you had tucked inside your journal. My village wasn't marked on there, but I knew we will find the way. I'll travel far, far away from this place, to meet all sorts of people, learn all sorts of new and wonderful things. I'll record everything I can in this journal for you, and I won't have to hurt anyone ever again. I'll be an outsider too, from now on. I discarded my mask and ran as fast as I could, and thought about what name I'll ask to be called from now on. Ooh. A game by NomNomNami. I'll have to click. Special thanks. Duck Beret, Kyle Heron, I hope I'm saying your names right, I'm sorry. NPC Casey, Peachy Papillion, Vivi, Hi Tom, Yuri Akuto. Was that Moxie? So, the description of the game does say this takes place in the same universe as A Lonely Wolf Street. As you guys know, I've only played the first 2 chapters so far. So I'm pretty much just inserting every character here. Thank you to these Patreon people. I won't say your names. Cute art. Oh, that's Syrup from that one game. Syrup something something. I haven't played it. Made with Renpy. That's really cute. And thank you for playing. That, guys, that is Escape from Wormwood. Game by NomNomNami, as I've probably said. I don't remember, it's been a bit. And I thought it was nice. Very cute art. I really doubt there's different paths. Came out fresh today, that's why I knew I had to play it. And like I said before, uploads gonna be a little bit inconsistent right now. I got a big project I'm working on. It's probably gonna take me a few months, but I'll be posting teasers every now and then on my Twitter and Blue Sky, which I will link in the description. So check them out whenever, or if you want to, but I know you guys want to. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. You all have a good day, and I'll see you all again later. Bye bye.